All right, everybody. It is Steve with Real Progress in Action. Folks, Bernie Sanders gave us a huge gift, didn't he? He gave us a gift of a movement. We squandered it. They stole it. He also gave us another gift, and that's the gift of Stephanie Kelton. Not a soul, not one of these Congress critters, not one of these candidates, not one of them had the strength of conviction to bring in Stephanie Kelton to bring the MMT message to the progressive movement. Unfortunately, most in the progressive movement still are not aware of the fact who she even is. They don't even know what the big deal is. And it's troubling. I'm not going to lie, because horrible big things are happening that make knowing who Stephanie Kelton is very important, probably more important than what's going on in any other country in this nation or in this world. And probably more important than almost every one of our activist fights, probably more important than, well, just about anything, save for us living through climate catastrophe or, some other insane thing comes because we as people weren't prepared. And we weren't prepared because we were lied to. We were blocked. Media did not cover it. But neither did alternative media either. I don't know what the cause of that is. I don't know why some alternative media people have said that MMT is not interesting enough for them to cover, that their audience wouldn't be interested in hearing about it. But it is the most important thing. Now, last night I did a show and I talked at length about things like petroleum being one of those type of real resources that can create all kinds of calamity throughout the entire economy, causing spiraling inflation if there was a shortage, because it's baked into every single thing that we do, from the plastics that make our computer monitors to the tires on our cars to the fuel that heats and warms our houses, you name it. Okay. That is what MMT is to the progressive movement. It is the single one thing that empowers every single one of these pet orphan politics issues that you see Group A fighting for, Group B fighting for, Group C fighting for, Group D fighting for. It is the one unifying factor that enables all of them. And yet, the gatekeepers in the movement, I'm talking about like at the activist level, even not just the political level, the activist level, not just at the media level. I'm talking about the alternative media level, not just in general. It is everything. It is everything, because we can't do anything without it. And so Bernie Sanders not only took Stephanie Kelton into Congress with him, but he also took her along for both of his presidential campaigns. And still, most of our activists talk about nonsense on social media. They talk about crap in Twitter, all this anti-Biden stuff. And I don't like Biden, but my God, I don't spend every tweet on it. I spend my tweets on MMT. Why? Because of what I just said. It impacts every single Medicare for all, check. Green New Deal, check. Student loan, check. Housing, check. Jobs, check. Why is it not on every fucking progressive's tongue? Why are they not talking about? Why is not every alternative media outlet talking about it constantly, round and round and round? I don't have a good answer for it. I really don't. But I want you to know something. It is so important because right here, right now, we've got a confluence of things happening. We've got an eviction crisis coming. We've got a foreclosure crisis coming. We have got a jobs crisis coming and a stalled economy coming, because tons and tons of people are going to be out of work. There is so much that we have to worry about right here, right now, that if we don't take this seriously, we're going to really, really miss out. And one of the things that's important is this infrastructure bill. Okay. Now, whether you like Joe Biden or not, it's irrelevant. Most of this stuff is irrelevant, what you feel about them. I don't think I like any politician. I think even Bernie ends up in my crosshairs a lot of the time. So with that in mind, I want to play for you a clip from a gentleman named John Yarmuth, who's the head of the Banking and Budget Committee for the House. And this guy, I don't know his politics from Adam. I really don't. And he may become the biggest giant jerk in the world. But what he did was something even our activists can't do. Why can't they, damn it? Think about it. Why can't they? Well, it's not like we're not putting it out there. They're just fucking choosing not to listen. They're just choosing not to listen. This is not, I used to hear people talk about punching down. Well, punching down to me is a wake-up call at times. And if you're running around chasing little claptraps and getting 100 likes for nonsense, and I'm going to keep this up, by the way. I'm not going to stop talking about this because it drives me fucking nuts. Okay? But I'm going to bring this guy Yarmuth in. I want you to hear this. This is on C-SPAN. And it's one of the most important things you're ever going to hear on this channel. That's for damn sure. So here we go.
Back with us this morning is the chair of the House Budget Committee, Congressman John Yarmuth, Democrat of Kentucky. Congressman, as you know, the president unveiled a $6 trillion budget request for fiscal year 2022. Yesterday, we had on the program Republican Kevin Hern, and here's what he had to say about the president's proposal.
We spend $1 trillion a year right now on programs to help those who can't help themselves, that need help, need a handout. Many of us in America, myself included, early on in life, needed that help. But we also ought to be helping those folks move on to jobs. And so the American Jobs Plan, as the president has pushed, and the American Family Plan, as you just referenced, American Family Plan is over $4 trillion of spending. The American Jobs Plan that was just pushed forward is over $1.5 trillion. And so when you look at these two programs together, along with some other things going on, we're talking about a $6 trillion budget. And the American taxpayer has just said enough is enough. Even Democrats now are sending letters to the leaders of both the House and the Senate saying, we have got to get our fiscal house in order.
So, Chair Yarmuth, how can we spend $6 trillion and all the other money that President Biden wants to spend? How can we afford it?
We can't afford it because we determine how much money's in the system and at the federal level. The federal government is not like any other user of currency, not like any household, any business, any state or local government. We issue our own currency, and we can spend enough to meet the needs of the American people. The only constraint being that we do have to worry about inflation from that spending. Now, what so many people say, well, we've got so much debt, and our grandchildren are going to have, it's going to be on their backs and so forth. That's not the way it works. And I think the American people need an education about how the monetary system does work. I remember going back, Greta, to when Paul Ryan was chair of the Budget Committee, and even before that, and all of these forecasts of gloom and doom about, we're going to accumulate so much debt and interest rates are going to crowd out all other spending. Well, we basically doubled the national debt from the recession in 2009 until last year before the pandemic. And none of the things that people warned would happen happened. We didn't have inflation. We had record low interest rates rather than higher interest rates. And the dollar was trading within normal levels vis-a-vis other currencies. So I think a lot of economists now have begun to say, wait a minute, maybe we've been thinking about debt in entirely the wrong way. And even Fed Chair Jay Powell has basically said, we have the fiscal space to do what we need to do right now, to make the investments we need to make to build the kind of economy for the future that we all hope we'll have.
Well, why are people wrong about this, and how should we be thinking about debt and deficits?
Well, I don't get any royalties from this, but I would flog a book called The Deficit Myth by Stephanie Kelton, an economist and professor. And it's become quite a bestseller, actually. And what she says is that if you look at the total national debt, $28 trillion right now is what we think of as the national debt. She said, don't think of it as debt. Think of it as all the money that the federal government has invested in the country over our history minus taxes. And that's really what it is. I mean, those $28 trillion didn't exist before the federal government issued them. And so the federal government has the ability to create money, create financing, and that's what we've been doing, we'll continue to do. The thing that I am so impressed about from the Biden administration is that they're reversing decades and decades of our asking questions in the wrong order. Historically, what we've always done is said, what can we afford to do? And that's not the right question. The right question is, what do the American people need us to do? And that question becomes the first question. Once you've answered that, then you say, how do you resource that need? And that's not just money, that's also capacity. So for instance, there's a $225 billion investment in childcare in the American Families Plan. But you can't just say we're going to give $225 billion to people to pay for their childcare because there's not enough capacity. So what you do is you make a false promise to the people, and then you would drive the price of existing childcare even higher. So what you have to do is spend part of that money on building capacity so that there's enough childcare to actually service the people who need it. So again, they're just very different ways of thinking about money. And I understand why most people don't understand this concept, because they think of it in their own framework, which is their household, which is you can't borrow so much money that you can't pay back. But that's not the position that the federal government's in.
Congressman, are you saying we can just print more money and there's no consequences?
There could be consequences if there is too much inflation. So let me give you a hypothetical. We could say that we're going to give every American family a $200,000 voucher to buy a house. We could create the money to do that. But what would happen? Well, there's not enough housing, so the prices of existing houses would go through the roof, no pun intended. And again, you'd be creating a false promise, but meanwhile, you drive up the housing market to unsustainable levels. So there is a limit as to how much money we can inject into the economy. The thing about the rescue plan, and here's where I think Kevin Hearn makes a mistake, is he said $6 trillion American Families Plan and Job Plan. It's not quite that much, but that's over 8 to 10 years. So the $6 trillion budget that the president proposed actually would have been $5.7 trillion if you had no American Jobs Plan or American Rescue Plan, because only $300 billion of that is in fiscal year 22. So again, you've got to realize these are numbers that are very large, of course, but they're spread out over a number of years. And that's why I think the Fed chair and others have said, we have the fiscal space to do this, because injecting this over a period of time will not cause the kind of inflation that is dangerous.
Respond.
Epic, eh? Okay, let's try that again. Well, let's not. He's said enough. The fact of the matter is, this is a guy who's a Democrat. Just a Democrat. And he knows more about how to pay for a progressive agenda than progressives, than activists, than alternative media gatekeepers, and their little continuing cycle of the same people on the same shows talking about the same things, about Bitcoin, about alternative media personality wars, on and on and on. This guy knows more about how to fund a progressive agenda than progressives do. Think about that for a minute. It isn't because the information hasn't been there. It isn't because we haven't provided it. It isn't because it hasn't been. He referenced Stephanie Kelton's book. It's not because there's not literature out there. And yet, honest to God, do, one of these days I'll just go through the Twitter feed and I'll show you all these brain dead tweets, repulsive, dumb, brain dead tweets over and over again. But here's this guy, John Yarmuth, and he's telling you we can do it all. However, we got to have the real resources there. Stop thinking about debt like it's something that you got to pay back. It's not a household budget. The United States government creates currency every time it spends. Did you hear that? That's public record now. That right there is the head of the budget committee, the head. And he's telling you that. And yet you look out there at the top tier progressive activists and they won't touch it. I remember I was on Jen Perlman's 50th birthday bash and we were all having fun. And there was Bo of the fifth column. And Peter tried to give him a layup to bring in MMT. And he says, hey, Bo, you ought to talk about MMT. And Bo's like, well, I don't think my audience would really find it very interesting. Yeah, they either know it or whatever, but I don't think they'd find it very interesting. End of story. Done. Not even, no, we're not going to talk about it. No, that's it. Done. Done. Now, what could be more interesting than fucking dunking like Shaquille on the progressive agenda because we know how to spend, we know how to pay for it? What could be more impressive than kicking ass that our parents and our grandparents couldn't do because they didn't understand and they were swept away by neoliberalism? What could be more impressive than a movement that stood up and took care of their children because they fucking took the time to learn how the fucking federal finance worked? What could be more revolutionary? Fist in the air. Show up. Where's my sign? Hell no, we won't go. Hell no. What is it? This is what democracy looks like. Fist in the air. What could be more march-worthy? What could be more revolutionary than the key to enabling the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, childcare, housing as a right? I mean, folks, what could be more revolutionary than canceling all student debt? Come on. I don't think they'd find it very interesting. I think nobody's interested in it. Nobody's interested. And you know what, though? I'm making fun of them a little bit. Truth is, if you look at the tweets of your headline activists, most of them don't find it very interesting. They're willing to kill our movement out of pride, out of ego, out of boredom. I don't know what the fuck reason. Fist in the air in the land of hypocrisy, but they can't take the time to be effective and learn the economics. Why the hell is that? Seriously, ask yourself. Why is it that they won't do what needs to be done for us to be effective? And what's going to happen when rank and file establishment Democrats get to the finish line before we do, because we're out there being saucy with Bitcoin? Think about how bad that is. Yeah, let's go ahead and fucking invest all our money in Bitcoin. Oh, well, MMT, it's too boring. Can't talk about MMT, it's boring. So right now in Arizona, you've got these people that are undocumented workers working in 90 plus degree temperatures before it even hits 8 o'clock in the morning. They have to wear long sleeve shirts to build these $400,000 homes. More and more and more speculation, more and more bloating of prices, more and more this bubble of the housing crisis that you don't even realize is coming, and it's coming like it came in 2007 and 2008. Same shit, different day. All the same actors, all the same schemes, all the same everything happening right now. All the elite control fraud, all of the nonsense with the Federal Reserve backstopping these things, making it a safe bet for the rich while the poor end up homeless once again. In fact, Olympic gold medalist Cindy Brown not only lost her home to identity theft, but they're trying to make her give her gold medals to pay for the debt she owes to the bad guys that took her house. No joke. See, there ain't nothing more important, folks, than economic justice, because it is the cornerstone of the entire progressive agenda. Because without economic justice, you can't do anything. And yet it's the one thing. Oh, you'll hear we need a UBI. A UBI will solve it all. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. How does that solve the housing crisis? Neither guarantees an apartment. It doesn't even guarantee a tent. How is that even possibly the important thing to be fighting for under economic justice? All I fight for is economic justice. How the hell is that supposed to be the big thing? I want you to think about, how is that supposed to be the big thing? More and more and more Americans are up here in private debt, absolutely drowning in it. They take a breath, they swallow debt. Their lungs are filled with debt. They've got bill collectors calling. Why didn't you pay for that medical treatment you got? Why didn't you pay for this? Hey, your electricity's behind. We're about to start shutoffs again. Hey, everybody's back to work. Enjoy, man. And you heard the dipshit Republican in that clip that I played talk about debt to our grandchildren, and eventually people have to somehow or another pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get all moving on instead of relying on the government dole. Fuck you. Fuck you straight up in the ear hole, man. Fuck you. And you know what? You know why he can get away with that? Let me tell you why he can get away with that. Because progressives have ignored the MMT message that slaughters, bitch slaps the taste out of that Republican's mouth when he raised the word debt, when he talked about all the big spending. If anybody paid a nickel of attention to MMT, they would know it and they'd be able to slaughter it. But no, you know what? They can't, and they don't. And there's even dumbos out there on our side going, oh no, where's all this spending? It's going to create inflation. It's debasing the free-floating fiat currency. Got to buy Bitcoin. Never mind the fact that when the Bitcoin fell down, it had a 40% hyperinflation. I want you to think about, doesn't that piss you off? Well, if it doesn't piss you off, you're probably on team them. Team ignore MMT, of which I have no use for you. I have no use for people that ignore MMT. None. Zero. They're putting their foot on our necks. Our own people are sitting there with somebody laying in the mud, putting their foot on their face and shoving it in the mud to make sure that all they do is suck mud into their lungs, killing them. Too cool for school? Fuck you. Get on with the program, God damn it. This Father's Day, I'm sitting there remembering my dad. And I remember him sitting there. His fingers were all twisted up, couldn't move. His eye was messed up and he could barely speak, couldn't swallow. And he had 1 week to live. He had no idea. We had no idea, but he had 1 week to live. And he met my son on his 1-year birthday. And he died a week later in a horrible, the death throes were horrible. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And he died from something called progressive supranuclear palsy, something Dudley Moore had. It's very rare. And I remember on this Father's Day, how angry I was that people back then, 2016, 2016, September 15th, 2016, my 10-year sobriety date. I remember then how angry I was at a movement full of cool guys that thought MMT was nothing but a psyop or a cult. Smack them. Fucking assholes. Fucking assholes. We could have been investing government dollars into our research for hard R&D for things like progressive supernuclear policy that will never be profitable enough for the big pharmaceuticals, and worse, big pharmaceuticals will hold on to those patents when they do it, and they will drive the price through the roof so that nobody. And there's an Alzheimer drug out now. It's like $60,000 a year, and it just today, my buddy Kami John sends me an article. And if you look at my Twitter feed, you'll see it. Picture of my dad, and down there he puts this article. And you know what the assholes say? They say it's going to blow up the federal budget. Now, which progressives were out there fighting this? Storming the Bastille, fighting it, fist in the air. We're revolutionaries. Which ones were? Not one. Not a fucking one. And I'm pissed. Because you're too fucking cool, man. Yeah, man, so cool, like totally cool. When you think about how many people die every year from diseases and other things that we could infinitely provide the resources to solve, and your sorry ass thinks it's your hard-earned tax dollars, fuck you. Your hard-earned tax dollars were burned/deleted. And you know what? Even back then in 2016, I didn't have a whole lot of patience for people that sat there and ignored this. Because after all, I was a drug addict, drunk, derelict that was able to figure it out. And if I could figure it out, you sure as fuck can too. Unless you're just too cool for it. The government creates money every time it spends. It doesn't borrow money from China, Obama. You fuckwit. Clinton, you parasite. And here we have Joe Biden. God, there isn't a man that I hated more than Joe Biden for his 40 years of service to destroying us with bankruptcy laws and trying to commit austerity and reducing deficits and sending us to war. But this man is getting one thing. Folks, don't confuse what I'm saying here. He gets one thing right, and he's actually putting the right people in place to try to advance at least this, if nothing else. And I'll tell you what, that is more than I expected, because I expected absolutely nothing but war and bullshit from Biden. And he's given us plenty of bullshit. Don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. God, please, if somebody clips this video, make sure they capture the part after this where I say Biden's still an asshole. But Biden, to his credit, is getting people to listen to the likes of Stephanie Kelton. And that right there, my friends, is more than most of your progressive activist friends are doing. And that makes them an enemy of progress, right? Right? If they're ignoring MMT, they can't possibly be a progressive. Ooh. Because see, a progressive is supposed to be smart. And smart people learn economics. They don't blow it off. They fucking learn it. They realize it's central to doing anything. They realize it's central to making progress. There is no, think about it, trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars for a Green New Deal. And more trillions beyond that. And what's going to happen with that? If we don't learn MMT so that we don't get swept away with, it's going to be super expensive. Fuck you. Fuck you. I mean, I want you to think about what I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying. If we're not going to be the ones that force this into the public and we let centrists take it, Okay, don't bitch. I don't want to hear a fucking word. Not one Coolio tweet word from any of the super tweeters. Talk about the Democrats and the Republicans. Because they were too cool to do it themselves, too cool to bring it out, too cool to tweet about it, too cool to fucking talk about it, too cool to fucking say, hey, dude, you know what? I see you're pissed off. I respect you've been doing this for a long time. I admit I don't know, but I want to learn. How do I start learning? Where do I start? No, the ego is too fucking big. Too big. Big ego brain. Can't ask about MMT. Too much ego. It might make them fall a peg because they don't know. But see, it doesn't make anyone fall a peg. It makes everyone's integrity and character rise when they seek knowledge. Skipping this knowledge is tantamount to killing people. Oh, yep, I said it. If you're killing people, what is that word? Oh, that's right. It's called murder. You're a fucking murderer. Oh, shit. He said it, didn't he? Yeah, he said it. Yeah, I think he said it. He said it. I fucking said it. As a progressive, I know what I want. I want student debt eliminated yesterday. I want free college, period. I'm done subsidizing training, education, and development for corporations. And you should be too. I want more than Medicare for all. But Medicare for all only requires a simple code switch about the date of eligibility. And maybe some enhancements and advances and better things, but it's still a minimal transition to make that the law of the land. I would prefer a full-blown national health service that we don't have to pay shit for, that the government handles all the way. And you know what? You know MMT now. You know it can do it. Why aren't you pushing for it? Because you didn't take the time to learn it. Why didn't you take the time to learn it? I don't have a clue. I am absolutely bamboozled for why you didn't choose to learn it. I have no idea why you chose not to. And you had to choose not to because it's all over the place by the people that care. I swear to God. And if you're running in claptraps where people don't talk about it, you need a new claptrap. You need a new different gang. A gang that gives a shit about people and learns the economics so we can win. And maybe they'll come join you. But this is bullshit, this ignoring the subject. And I've had enough. You know, as a progressive, I know that the climate is going to eat us alive because we have made it for dinner. We've made ourselves supper. And unless we have a Green New Deal and do some radical transformation and degrowth, you name it, we aren't going to have to worry about much of anything. So as a progressive, I want that too. I want childcare as a right in the local community. I want a job guarantee. I want expanded Social Security. You hear the ching, 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 all that big money, big fat stacks. Walter White would be blushing right now. Jesse Pinkman be going, yo, Mr. White, that's groovy shit, man. All right, radical, man. Lots of money, dude, fat stacks. And we don't even have to cook meth in the desert to do it. The government prints it. They fucking press the keys, out goes the money. You see it with war. You never hear anybody bitch about inflation but war, do you? Those people that bitch about inflation, drop the elbow on them. Just bitch slap them, slap them. Swap, swap, swap. We are sitting here literally in a dystopian world where the most simple resource of all, our ability to spend public money for the public purpose, is the one thing that we've all been bamboozled to believe is not possible. It's immoral. We'll have to take out a credit card from the People's Republic of China. Fuck you, Obama. Got to eat our peas. We got to make tough decisions. No, we don't. Fuck you. We don't have enough doctors and nurses? Easy. Let's fucking make becoming a doctor and a nurse free. Let's make sure that people have the aptitude for nursing and being doctors, that have a desire to save lives. Let's make sure they get taken care of regardless of whether they were born in the hood or born on Fifth Avenue. Let's make sure anybody that wants to, so we can prepare to have enough doctors and nurses, gurneys, you name it. Let's stop creating more and more lawyers, and let's start creating more and more engineers to help solve the climate crisis. Let's find a way to work with thorium. Let's find a way to do things that we need to do to survive. Let's stop worrying about the money, because the money is irrelevant. And the inflation thing that Yarmuth said, let me just clarify one thing about what he said. He made some good points, and I'm afraid some people may take it the wrong way. It's not a matter of how much money is in the economy that creates inflation. What is the difference is it's how much money is in everyone's hands to enable them to exact their demands, what they want, what they've been needing, and they haven't been able to because they didn't have enough money. Now, all of a sudden, if everybody suddenly wants at the same time, they want something, and there's only so many of them out there. If production didn't keep up with it, there's going to be a bidding war. You'll see a spiraling relative value kind of thing. Not inflation, but relative value for that thing. But like I said last night also, and tonight, if it was something like petroleum that touches every product we have, that could create spiraling inflation. But it would not create it just by printing money or spending money, because we've been doing that. The issue is, once you start spending on the people, and the people have the ability to take care of themselves, you need to have production there to meet their demand. That is where the inflation conversation lives. And it's really a matter of stop denying us from taking our money. Fucking produce the healthcare we need. Government, take care of it. I don't even want to see a bill. I just want my teeth fixed. I just want my heart fixed. I just want my kids to not have to worry about this stuff. I want your kids to not have to worry about this stuff. And I want the next father on Father's Day to not have to worry about progressive supranuclear palsy killing them. I want them to have a cure, not a treatment, a cure. You digging what I'm saying? You picking up what I'm putting down? You heard John Yarmuth. So Congress knows. You see that? Congress knows. It's up to us, you, me, everybody, to apply maximum pressure and to stop with these state-based initiatives. God damn it, stop it. And start focusing on the win at the national level. And you notice he didn't say, well, you know, New York City is a currency issue in place. And same with Texas and California and Washington. No, he didn't fucking say that. He said the federal government. Why didn't he say Washington State or New York City or California? Because they are currency users just like you and me. And they can go broke just like you and me. And do go broke just like you and me and Flint and Puerto Rico and Buffalo and Harrisburg and many, many other places in the United States that can't create their own currency. It's time to make this el numero uno priority. And every fucking policy we talk about, if some jackwad doesn't fucking put MMT in the forefront of that, they're fucking us all over. Period. Full stop. Full stop. No more, well, they're a nice person and they got cute hair and they got a nice hat and they got a beautiful jacket. I don't give two fucks. I care about the right economics for the right program to make that program work and become a right so it can't be taken away. So they can't say, see, it failed over there, so no one else can have it. Because guess what? A currency using state couldn't sustain federal level spending. So guess what? Now, because dumbos don't realize this, and I'm talking about Republicans and all the ones that think that the government is broke and that we're spending too much money and we're going to pass on debt to our grandkids and all this bullshit, right? They will use these failures as a way of saying, See, I told you. And you know what? There's enough Democrats that will listen to that, told you, and you will never sniff another progressive plan again because we screwed the pooch because well-meaning people ignored the MMT message. They ignored it. So when you think about what I'm saying, I don't care if you like me or not. I mean, I'd like you to like me because I'm on your side. I'm just spitting hard truths here. And if you feel convicted by what I'm saying, I might be talking to you, right? If you feel like I'm saying something mean, you might be one of those people that has been standing in the way of MMT getting out to the progressive movement. You just might be. And if you're one of those gatekeepers, you know, the Clyburns of the world that play gatekeeper, kiss the ring and I'll let you know who can get in and who can get out. If you're one of those gatekeepers that blocked MMT or didn't think it was important or thought it was just something on the side, some peripheral thing, something boring, whatever. If you're one of those people, you might be mad at me right now. I'm not going to lie. Probably pissed you off, and I'm okay with it. Because you need to be pissed off. You need to be smacked. Smack. You need that. You need that wake-up call. And it's not because I don't like you. It's because I fucking want to live, and you're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. You picking up what I'm putting down? We as a movement must be smarter, more organized, and ready to fight than the moneyed interests that are up against us right now. That means understanding project management and not just shooting from the hip. That means actually planning, building things to be reused so that we don't have to keep reinventing the wheel over and over and over again. Putting your ego in your back pocket and uniting with groups. Working together. But together doesn't mean ignoring MMT because somebody doesn't understand it and they don't think it's important. That's a bullshit move. That's unity for bullshit's sake. Fuck that. No. I'm not going to kill people just so you can feel good about yourself. I'm just not going to do it. You fucking learn the economics. That's the deal. That's the deal. You fucking learn it. And you learn how to talk about it, and you learn how come it's important, and you start fighting on those terms, the real terms. Not coming, well, do you just not want people to have health care, Steve? Fuck you. Of course, I want everyone to have health care. I want them to have free health care. I don't want them to ever worry a minute of their lives about having a cavity again. I want them to be able to get taken care of in a moment's notice. In a moment's notice. Please, if you are not already a subscriber to this channel, smash that subscribe button, smash the like button, share this fucker out there. I'm okay with splashing. I'm okay with breaking a few eggs to make an omelet. We got to get smart, and I can't take it anymore. We can't wait. I'm telling you, in just a couple months, not even, the evictions are going to start happening in major wave after wave after wave. And the people that are being evicted are renters. And renters, not a lot of times, don't have a lot of money to, cover themselves. And homeowners who never dug out of the financial crisis of 2007 and 2008 and who are still living underwater, those people, myself included, you're going to see a foreclosure crisis when the forbearances come due. And which one of you is watching the new Untouchables? Which one of you is paying attention to the con? Which one of you is learning about elite control fraud and what's going on as they use freaking predatory lending practices to predate on black and brown people and poor people of all walks of life, single moms, you name it? Which one of you was paying attention? Or are you just busy clapping for somebody who said, yeah, fuck the Democrats, man. Hit that like button on my tweet, 2,800 likes. What the fuck, man? Come on, y'all are better than that, right? 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 You're better than that, right? You don't jump on those, yeah, man. Yeah, Dem exit, yeah. Okay, Dem exit. But is that really all these years later your tweet over and over and over again? When are you going to start learning some real stuff instead of these fluffy little superficial tweets? When are you going to start learning some shit and be effective? I mean, think about what I'm saying. What are you going to do when the mortgage crisis hits again, when all this housing bubble falls again? Because you see the escalating values. States been slaughtered by tax revenues. States are elevating and helping elevate the prices, the asset values, bloating the asset values, the appraisal values to get additional tax revenue. There's a whole scheme at play here, folks. And as that spiral continues, and as BlackRock buys up houses and other pensions buy up houses, and they start trying to turn us into a nation of renters, just remember, it was probably one of your family or a friend down the street that lost their home because you didn't do anything about it. But Dem exit, man. The duopoly, down with the duopoly, man. Cool dudes, man. I mean, seriously, if you've seen one of those tweets, you've seen 1,000 of them. Unfortunately, you've seen 1,000,000 of them. And because, you know why? Because people get a bazillion likes on those tweets. That's what passes for activism. I swear to God, that's what you guys keep liking out there. You keep retweeting that shit. I'm not joking. Take a look, man. Take a look. See if I'm lying. See if I'm lying. I'm begging you all to start wisening up. Shit's about to get really bad for an awful lot of people. You think it's bad now? Wait, it's getting ready to get awful. And you know what else? Now that every fucker gets to take their mask off and gallivant around, I'm free. Everybody's going to forget because they're out there going on vacays, having mimosas, going boogie boarding. And you're going to be watching as the cops, the sheriff, comes to the front door with 6 or 8 other badges and escorts the people out of their homes, puts a deadbolt on the front door, and puts a sticker on there that the house is now foreclosed. All their stuff in their driveway, on the front lawn, in the road. And you were busy liking tweets about Dem exit. Seriously, you did that. I swear to God you did. Look out on Twitter. And they are so cool. So cool. But yet people are going to be out in the streets. You don't see them tweeting about it. Why is that? Why the fuck is that? Yep. I'm really pissed off. I don't even think you could tell through this video how pissed I really am. I'm like, I'm so angry, I could put my fist through a brick wall. Because I have done this every fucking day. Wake up in the morning, go to bed at night, talking about this, tweeting about this, Facebooking about this, talking to people on the phone about this, you name it, teaching myself, making phone calls to learn, asking questions, not taking shortcuts. Going back to 2009, and since I started RP back in 2015. And yet you still see the coolios talking about Bitcoin, shitcoin. Can't make it up. Anyway, I'm Steve Grumbine. I hope you guys will subscribe to the channel. Everything I say isn't always going to be a rant, but tonight on Father's Day, I have paid a steep price for neoliberalism's hold on our economy, as many of you have as well. And I take it extremely personally when people don't pay attention as well, because I need you and you need me and we need each other to focus on this, and we aren't. The collective we is still out there fucking around with claptraps and, hey, let's make life better for everyone. Let's save ourselves from extinction, and let's save people from losing their homes. This Sunday night, coming up this next weekend, we will have the first episode of season 2 of the new Untouchables, the Pecora Files. Now, some of you may not know who Ferdinand Pecora is. If you've ever read the book, The Hellhound of Wall Street, Ferdinand Pecora was an Italian immigrant at Tammany Hall that was selected out of desperation after everybody else turned him down to pursue Wall Street during the Great Depression back in 1929. And he was the last guy to really do damage, to really, really bring down the house, to go after corruption at Wall Street, to point it out, the corruption within the government and Wall Street. Our job with the new Untouchables is to get you to understand this so that we can bring about a new Pecora hearing. The elite control fraud that many whistleblowers have lost their careers on, that all that information's out there. We got Richard Bowen's sworn testimony, unredacted, on our website. If you go check out his interview, not only on Macro and Cheese, which hopefully you all have listened to, and if you haven't, might I suggest going to our website, realprogressives.org, under our media dropdown, and going to the new Untouchables and Macro and Cheese. Both of these programs work together hand in hand. I ensure that I cover both economics and corruption with my friends Patrick Lovell and Eric Vaughn, my co-hosts on the new Untouchables. We're going after this stuff, folks. This is happening right now. Cindy Brown's about to lose her gold medals right now because of this. And this is all tied together. This is all part of the big picture that leaves us thinking that the nation is broke while Wall Street keeps getting bailed out and homeowners keep losing their homes. Please follow us. Our podcast, Macro and Cheese, comes out every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find it on our website or any major podcast hosting platform, Apple, SoundCloud, you name it. The new Untouchables, very important, folks. We have it in video form. We're doing that one as a video podcast. And we've recorded, I think, 12 episodes for this second season so far, with more to come. We had Dennis Kucinich. He's coming up. We had Thomas Frank. He's coming up. We have a bunch of big names. Michael Perino, the author of Hellhound of Wall Street, coming up. We're giving you this on a silver platter. All the facts, all the information, all the whistleblowers' testimony, we're giving it all to you. Will you pay attention? Will you do something with it? I hope so, because we're trying to build a civil rights-like movement to rout out corruption. And we need everybody, all hands on deck, because the two work together. It's the corruption of the lobbyists that influence the politicians that then in turn take away our opportunity for healthcare while they simultaneously bail out the banks and take away our homes. They're all connected, folks. This is one big thing, but I've broken them up into two separate ways. One is about the corruption. One is about how our economy works. 124 episodes of Macro and Cheese How many of you listen to? Let's make it one at least. Okay? Anyway, I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progress in Action. Have a great night, everybody. If I could ever find that stinking end broadcast button. Good night, y'all. Bye.